Howdy, welcome into Forte Catholic. I'm Taylor Schroll, and I'm back with my good friend Chris Bartlett today, where I reveal a surprise to him and to you, the audience, that is not making me very happy, and I think a lot of you will actually enjoy it quite a bit. And we'll talk about surprises in life, some big changes in life, but then also Chris is going to fulfill my role that I typically play on this podcast. We're going to do a segment that I have done and made myself look bad in front of Father Anthony. Now he is going to do it and make himself look bad in front of me and all of you. It's going to be a great show. I hope that you enjoy it. Hello there, and welcome to Forte Catholic. I'm Taylor Schroll. That is Chris Bartlett. Hello, Christopher.
Hello, my friend. How are you, Taylor?
I am doing great. I have a surprise for you that I am not happy about at all, but I think you will appreciate, and I think the listeners will appreciate, but especially the viewers or those who watch on Reels, because let's be honest, that's how most people consume this show anyway.
Sure. Okay, I'm terrified, but excited.
I'm terrified too. Here is the big update in my life. I have glasses.
Best friends? Oh my gosh.
I hate everything about it. I hate
Are they readers or are they all the time?
No. So here's what happened. Apparently I'm blind, and I did not know this because all I have is my life experience. I've never seen through your eyes. I've never walked a mile in your shoes, frankly, because your shoes smell bad. It's impossible for me to look through your eyes. So I just thought everything was fine. And growing up, I haven't gotten tested for sight since I was like a child when you had to get them for physicals or something.
Right.
And I always had 20/20 in one eye and 15/20 in the other eye, meaning I could zoom in if I closed one eyelid.
You're a superhero in one eye. Yes.
I always tested it. You know how like in like workout rooms or whatever, there's like mirrors on the wall so you can see how cool you look as a teen and how bad you look as a 35-year-old.
I know workout rooms. Yes, of course, Taylor. Yes.
So I would stand in the split of the mirror, and I would stand and looking together with one eye, I was 20 feet away. With the other eye, I was 15 feet away. It was incredible. Well,
that's unbelievable.
I don't know what happened, but sometime in the last couple of years, I started noticing, because I'm a good Catholic and I sit towards the back, I started realizing that I couldn't read the numbers for the hymnal thing. This was about a little over a year ago, about a year and a half ago, because I typically don't do anything about something that's a problem for a while. I'm a man in my 30s, so I just let things fester, let things wait. And then I was like, all right, let's finally do something about this. So a year ago this month, I went to the optometrist, I think is the right word for this thing. I went for the first time. Oh, dude, it's already messing with me. It's killing me. I'm seeing 3 of you, and 1 is too many. So I went to the optometrist, and they were like, really? You've never had glasses before? And I'm like, nope. And they were like, why are you lying to us? I'm like, I'm not lying to you. I've never had glasses. One eye, my right eye, was mostly okay. My left eye, they're like, yeah, you have astigmatism. And I said, what's astigmatism? Thinking like I had a sty or a acorn stuck in my head. I didn't know that astigmatism was one word and that it wasn't a stigmatism, one singular stigmatism that I owned. Or yes, stigmata. I didn't have stigmata in my eye. I didn't even think about that. That's hilarious. This is why I'm doing this with you. I knew this would go well. But essentially, I didn't realize that not everyone sees every light 13 times. I didn't realize that that wasn't everyone's life experience.
Every day is the 4th of July.
Yeah,
for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, congratulations.
Like driving home looks exactly like 9 to 9:30 on July 4th.
Katy Perry was singing about your eye when she said, baby, you're a firework.
She really was. She adores me, actually. A few people know this. So
yeah.
I went and I got it fixed. And they were like, hey, since you have a very bad astigmatism in one eye and everything was and it was starting to get blurry too. But like really it was I couldn't read something because I saw it 4 times, not necessarily because it was blurry. But when one thing is layered on top of each other 4 times, it begins tough to read anything that's more than one line, right? So like a book or like seeing your face from this far away from where I'm sitting. So I went and got it. I went to the doctor, and you know how much I love health insurance. It's just my favorite thing. So I went and got my son's eyes checked because he had to get it for football. And my son is on my insurance plan. My kids are on my insurance plan. I am on my insurance plan. My kids have vision coverage. So we went and got his all done. And then I'm like, okay, now that we've gotten my kid taken care of, now I can take care of myself, you know? So I go to the doctor. They're like, hey, you're incredibly broken. How have you not seen us before? And then I go to pay and they're like, you don't have insurance. I'm like, you told me that I had insurance. And they were like, you have insurance on your plan, but it's just for your children. Your insurance doesn't offer eye vision. But they were like, essentially, they were like, well, we've already seen you. We told you had insurance. You told us you had insurance. We checked your insurance. Now that we've actually run it, look, just pay us $30 and we could just pretend this never happened. I said,
Done.
Fine. Yeah. Like, thank you. They're very gracious of him, right? But then I had to pay out of pocket for glasses. And what they told me was like, hey, this is going to be a new sensation. It's going to take you anywhere from a couple of days to 2 weeks to adjust for your eyes to adjust. Because what I now know is that your eyes, not only do they work together, but it's also like in concert with your brain. Sight is not just your eyes, it's actually mostly your brain.
Right. So if
signals.
one of your eyes is underperforming, your brain is like, I'm just going to use my AI generator to kind of fill it in.
Right. And that's essentially what has been happening is my brain and my right eye have been overcompensating for my left eye. And for, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years now, who knows? Maybe even longer because I just started noticing it about a year and a half ago. So they give me the glasses and I'm like, look, I can be a good, diligent person when I want to be. So they told me to wear the glasses every day. And then I was wearing the glasses every day and I was staring at my computer all day, every day because I edit audio and I couldn't see it. Let me rephrase. I saw it so many times. I saw it. Like, it made the astigmatism worse. It made everything blurry. But I'm like, I'm trying to be a good person. I'm driving. How is this safer? Like, there's one car on Highway 6. I see 45. So now I'm playing the game that, like, you know, they played, like, that Thanos played with Doctor Strange in the last movie. There are 45 of them. Which is the one that I'm not allowed to hit because it's the actual real car. So just terrible situation. So I gave up after a week. They told me it was going to take 2 weeks. I'm like, it's getting worse. Not only was it worse when I had the glasses on, when I took the glasses off, somehow it was also worse. So I gave up for like 2 weeks. And then I was like, you know what? I can be a better man. I'm going to do this again for 2 weeks. I do it for a week. It's going terribly. I start asking people with glasses, have you ever had this experience? They said, no, your prescription's wrong. And then I got so confused by the whole thing that I gave up for a year.
But now you're wearing them.
I am. And they told me to wear them for 2 weeks. And it's currently making things incredibly worse.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm so confused, Chris. I'm so confused. Am I supposed to do what they're saying? I have no way of telling if they have my prescription right or if I was just so broken for so long that I just have to push through it. I have no idea.
Yeah, you're asking the wrong guy. All I know is that it finally caught up with you, Taylor. Because when I was a kid, they said if you do this particular behavior, it will make you go blind. And maybe
I never heard that until I mentioned this publicly, and now apparently I'm
everyone's DMing you.
Yes, yeah. I didn't know that was a thing. I did not know that was a thing, and yeah, lots of things could be said there, but I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't realize I was ratting on myself. I don't understand what's happening. I'm like is everyone with glasses an outcast in society? Is that why? And I'm just finding out.
It's ridiculous. So I'm driving along in my car and then someone sends me a text message or I need to check what exit I'm supposed to take. And it's Texas, so you have to have sunglasses on to protect your eyes. And then I have to take my sunglasses off, put on my readers to see what the phone is saying, and then switch them back. And so I'm getting to the age where I need to go back and be like, okay, readers aren't enough. You need to give me something for every day and then something bigger for when I'm trying to read because it's getting ridiculous here. And so I'm transitioning into it as well. And it stinks to be able to think, oh, I can't see things clearly on my own, right? Like just on my, like I can make it by. It's almost like muscle memory. Like you pick up a guitar and you're like, I'm going to figure out this song, but that's how you're living life. You know, I'm going to figure this song out using the chords and kind of, this sounds right. And that's what you're doing in life right now, Taylor. Yeah, that's rough.
I didn't know how impressive my brains were until they told me how broken my eyes were.
Yeah, you're like, come on, brain, help me out with these other things. Like you can do this, and I didn't know you were capable of these things.
Right. Where are you when I needed you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, it's this weird thing now that this prescription that I have now, it's definitely better than the prescription that I had last year. But so, like, if I currently stare at your face, like I'm currently staring at your face, and honestly, my left eye is twitching a little bit. Because what they told me is that, like, you have focus muscles in your eyes, behind your eyes, in your eyes, and that they have just been the right eye has been so over focused for so many years. The left eye has been so under focused that now they're both freaking out. So I've had both eyes twitching for the last like 3 days since I got this set of glasses, and I'm like, I don't get. How is my eye cramping? Like I get like leg cramps whenever I run. Like I'm playing basketball tonight. My leg will be cramping tomorrow, maybe a little bit of muscle spasm. That's what my eyes are doing constantly every day because they're relearning how to see. And it's crazy because like I can look at your face and right now I've been staring at you intently for 15 seconds. You look incredibly clear right now. If I focus right on you, everything else around you on my TV screen is incredibly blurry. If I look away for a moment and then I look back, it takes a moment for the three of you to turn back into one of you. So I feel like I'm making progress, but even, like you mentioned driving. Now, like I haven't been able to read street signs in a while until I get really close. But now I can read street signs from far away. But when I'm looking at the street sign, which is off to my right, everything that's in front of me glows blurry. That's incredibly dangerous.
Yeah. Well, are you wearing your glasses tonight at basketball?
No, there's no way I'm going to be able to wear them.
Then aren't you going to basketballs tonight?
Yeah. I'm starting to realize that this might be why. I've been around basketball my entire life, and I'm getting older. That's always been a part of it. Like physically,
one of those shots should have gone in. One of those.
Yeah, but like seriously, it's all like what they've told me is that like, look, your like parts of your vision work really well. The thing that is absolutely screwed is your depth perception. And there's been so many times when I'm playing basketball where I'm like, that ball is going in. And I've been around basketball since I was a little kid. It's the first thing that I loved before God. I loved the game of basketball. And so like, I kind of know when a shot's going to be off. They always tell you, oh, follow your shot. I'd go follow my shot. I'm shooting a shot and I'm feeling like the confidence after I let it go. Like I'm doing the little shimmy and then it's completely off. And I'm like, what? Like I knew that was going in, you know? And I'm starting to realize that that's why. And my wife was like, well, why don't you just get contacts so that when you play basketball or softball or these other, sports or whatever? I was like, I don't trust the glasses. I'm not going to pay hundreds of dollars more to get contacts that don't work.
So this is how you spin it. You tell the guys, if I miss a shot, like an air ball is more like 5 air balls because you're seeing duplicates. Right. But if it goes in, like a layup is worth 10 points. Because that's 2 times 5, you know what I mean? And then they're like, okay, just keep them inside, we'll get the points, Yeah. It's interesting. My wife and I have had this conversation about like walk by faith, not by sight. And I'm like, I kind of feel like you can do both. Like, I don't think you should intentionally walk to where you can't see and then be like, okay, now walk by faith. But it is interesting to think like those things are helping you see with clarity. And that scripture verse has always got me like, well, maybe we should try and intentionally blind ourselves so that we can walk exclusively by faith. But sounds to me like that's not what you desire.
No, it's not. And like, here's the thing. Like, so I bring this all up. One, just because I'm frustrated, I need to get off my chest. But 2, anytime something big happens in my life, I have to like find the angle on it, find the spiritual angle. 1, just for my own spiritual life and my own spiritual edification, but also like for the podcast. Like, what is the podcast? It's my life. It's your life. Father Anthony's life. All of our guests' lives. Like, just kind of displayed. This is how we live Catholic life each and every day. Good, bad, ugly, all the things, right? So I've been thinking and trying to make this, how do I, like you mentioned spin earlier, how do I spin this into a Catholic topic? And I have a bunch of ideas and they all feel like crap to me because this whole situation feels like crap to me. So here are the options. You're going to help me. Maybe you even have some like you already mentioned, walk by faith and not by sight. Apparently I have a lot more faith than I realized because my sight's been crappy for quite some time. Yeah, yes. Exactly. Here's the thing. So there's something about like, I can't see clearly with my own eyes. I need God's help. God's like the glasses, right? But then it's like a weird thing. Now God's making my eyes twitch, and God's making me not focus on the other things around Him when I'm focused on Him. Okay, maybe that one doesn't work perfectly. Maybe we can make it work. There's another option of like, I'm starting something new and trying something new, and there's like difficulty whenever you're trying a new thing. Like I think a lot about like new converts. Like Catholicism looks incredibly confusing and incredibly like blurry and incredibly weird. And then once you kind of get used to it, like putting on the glasses of Catholicism, then it's like, oh, now I'm starting to see through a like literally called a Catholic worldview, a Catholic lens. Like I'm trying to see the world through like this Catholicism thing, and things start to like come into focus. Like they start to figure things out. But I'm just so mad about the whole situation that I can't really make a in good faith argument.
So here's where I think the grace is. So you have been arguably partially blind, partly blind. I'll just go to a thesaurus for when you can't pronounce words. Partly blind for like.
I love that your thesaurus was taking those same letters and just cutting some letters out. Yeah. Just a shorter word. Yes, I have been part blind. You're correct.
Part blind, and yet part blind. You've come this far. And now you can see clearly.
Kind of.
In 2 weeks. In 2 weeks to flatten the curve, 2 weeks to see clearly, all the things.
Yeah,
right?
That worked so well.
It sure did. It sure did. And so in 2 weeks, you'll be able to see like your faith, like your injured faith is strong and inspiring tens, if not thousands of tens of thousands of people, right? Like you have sought to be a ministry leader and all these things, all without knowing that you could only see 80% or 60% of what's in front of you. I had that experience recently where I went to a school of prayers called Encounter School of Ministry. I think you knew that I was going through that.
I didn't know you were going through it. I know what it is. I did not know you were going through that.
It's outstanding. And I went in there and I was like, oh man, my faith is probably like a 7 or an 8. If I can just get it to a 9 or a 10, that'll be full tilt. And then I go into the school of ministry and I'm like,
what's a positive number like?
Yeah, exactly. Right. A negative times a negative is a positive. And I heard in a recent podcast that you've had a lot of negative things. So you should probably be in the positive by now.
That's the only way I'm ever going to have a positive faith experience. 2 bad things happen at the same time.
And then you're like, I guess I got to depend on God yet again. Yeah. And I realized that the dial goes up to 100. And I was like, oh, crap. And so now you're seeing faith in kind of a new lens. You're seeing light in a new lens. And it's like, whoa, my relationship with Jesus was pretty good when I was limping along. And now I've got new legs to run with. I've got new eyes to see with. And it's like, wow, full speed for me is 100 miles an hour, not 10 miles an hour. And that's unbelievable. And to start leaning into that new sight, that new vision, I think it's called a conversion, and we can have them even after we know Christ. And I think sometimes we forget it. We just stand, sit, kneel, tithe, and then scoot around the people kneeling at the edges of the pew, blocking people in, that type of thing. And we call that a decent faith. But God's like, I've got more. Here, try these on. And he gives you these glasses. And yes, it's uncomfortable at first, Taylor. It takes some adjusting to live boldly for the Holy Spirit, to take a step out and to allow your faith to be spelled R-I-S-K and take some risks for it. But you've done it before when you could see half as much, and you did great. God got you. So I would say keep leaning in.
It's very interesting that you went the conversion route, because I think it's the perfect one. And I pun intended, I just couldn't see that this was the thing, right? Because you're right, because everything that I'm feeling is the same way that I feel when God calls me to a conversion of heart and I don't want to do it. Where I'm like, look, my life was fine. When I had these glasses off, I actually didn't know how blind I was. I actually could see, this is terrible. It's unbelievable how bad you look right now. You look like a 6 out of 10. So now that I put them back on. So I thought I saw fine. I thought my life was fine. I thought I was doing okay. And God's like, I'm calling you to something more. And what I wish conversion was like, was that I was just like, God changed my heart. And then he changed my heart. Like, I wish that's how it happened, but It's actually God changed my heart. Here's this crappy thing you have to go through to actually realize that you have to put more trust in him. But I don't want to do the crappy thing. I don't want to go through the crappy time for conversion of heart. I don't want to go through a crappy week or 2 weeks where I can't see well. I have a headache. My nose hurts. Like I'm exhausted. I got to the end of the day yesterday and my eyes were tired. I've never had that experience in my life. Never had that experience in my life. I went
which
to
means
sleep
it doesn't make sense.
because I didn't want I was not tired. I went to sleep because I didn't want my eyes open anymore. They were exhausted.
Yep.
I don't want this experience, but I'm hoping that there's something better on the other side and that my eyes and my brain will like have this. They have to go through this conversion to change how they've been seeing things. And dude, it's the same. It's almost the same thing I've been going through in my spiritual life. It's like, God's like, dude, you're almost there, but you got to let go of these last few things. And I was like, I don't want to. That's hard. That's difficult. That sounds like a crappy 2 weeks to 2 years. I don't want to do it.
But
that's
tooted for sure.
That's how I pray. I don't know. A lot of people wonder how God sounds in their prayer. That's how I sound in my prayer.
You've heard priests that have like a liturgical voice. They're like, "Hey, everybody,
yeah.
my name's Father Chris," and then it's like, "Let us pray," and they have I would love it if it's like, "Let us pray," and it sounds like the grandma Nancy from next door. You kids, stay off my lawn, dear Jesus. Yeah. Yep.
So yeah. Just frustrating. I don't like it. I hate wearing them. And now all of a sudden I hate not wearing them, which is making me wear them more. I don't do what I want to do. I do the things I don't want to do. It's driving me nuts.
St. Paul in the eyeball. That's what you got.
St. Paul in the eyeball. Insane. Got no brain. I really don't want to do this. I don't want to do any of it, but I've committed, picked them up, and it's just so annoying. And I really don't like acknowledging to myself how broken I am. Like sight is one of the major functions of the body and I can't do it anymore. It's so stupid.
There are some Catholics out there that believe that if you go ahead and you get like a tiny St. Joseph statue and then just bury it in the socket of your eye, within 7 days, your eye will be renewed.
Oh, yeah. Well, my house sold so well when I tried that, so I'm definitely not going to be doing that. If St. Joseph wants to come do LASIK, once we figure out what my actual prescription is here, then I will go to St. Joseph's Hospital here in town to get LASIK surgery. I'd love
Fair enough.
Okay. Other big change that's been going on in my life that you're actually the perfect person to talk to this about because there's a father on this podcast and a father on this podcast, and you are the kind with little children that you own in your home.
Yes.
So speaking of big changes, in about 2 weeks, we are making a big change for our family, and my children are no longer going to our local Catholic school. They are all going into the public school system. And
so they're going to join a gang.
Yeah, exactly. A third of our listeners just tuned out before you could even make that joke because they're like, we can't support this anymore. He wants his children to be atheists. There's Granny Smith again listening to her podcast.
I think it was either they can eat or they can go to Catholic school. I think that was kind of the dichotomy, right?
It was. I said, do you want to be fed spiritually or physically? That was a large part of the decision, right? So we have the only reason we've been able to send them to Catholic school for this whole time. So my son is going to 7th grade, my daughter's going to 5th grade, the other daughter's going into 2nd grade. The only reason we've been able to send them to Catholic school this entire time is because not only did we get the like you work in ministry so you don't make any money, so here's a discount because you don't make any money on top of that discount. Like I was a campus minister there, I've been coaching there for 10 years, my wife works there. We also got to like, hey, you've given your heart and soul to this place, here's an extra discount on top.
Legacy support, so to speak.
Legacy support, and new leadership came in. Legacy doesn't seem to matter as much, so they took away that extra money. So we're not able to go anymore. And like that was the first straw. But actually over this last year, there was actually a lot of things. I'm not going to go into specifics because this is a public forum or whatever. But like there's been a lot of things that we just disagreed with how the school was doing Catholicism and treating its people and pastoring its youngest people. Like we had a bunch of experiences with a couple of our kids, or 2 of our kids especially, that just like we just don't feel like they were safe, loved, protected the ways that we hoped that they would in a Catholic environment. So it was a difficult situation, but talking about like going back even to like the eyes thing, I was like, it was a change that we didn't want to make. And my wife and I, over the course of a couple of months, were debating this. And this was a thing that
I mean, God, because I've journeyed with you through this, Taylor.
Sure.
God made it more and more obvious, more obvious. And I know this is going to sound weird, but he called your family to send your kids to a public school this coming year.
Yes.
Like there was a lack of subtlety, not a lack of clarity. Right? Like God was not subtle in regards to it. And so
not at all.
So I think there is some confidence to where it's like, as strange as this might sound as a Catholic podcaster, God has called us this year. Who knows what next year is, but this year to send our kids to the local public school.
Right. And because it started with money, anytime it starts with money, as like the husband, father, provider, there's some guilt that comes involved. Like, oh, I can't afford to keep my kids Catholic and keep them in Catholic school. So because I can't afford it, they're going to be atheists now. Like there's some, like I'm a product of public school. Take that as you will. Most of the people listening are like, yeah, we do that. That's why you suck. And I'm like, okay, fine.
The dude who 5 minutes ago admitted he's never had positive numbers on his spiritual scale.
Exactly. Product of public schooling, baby. But you went to Catholic school and a little bit of homeschooling, right? Did you do a little bit of homeschooling
with our kids?
With you or
me? I did public school until high school, and then Catholic school until today.
So I don't have much faith, and you can't do basic math because you were like, I was on a 10 scale my whole life, and then I realized it was 100. So that's that Catholic schooling, and I thought that I was going to blame it on the homeschooling, but that's a little too easy. So my wife and I for years debated before we had kids, and even while our kids are younger, we only ever debated homeschool or Catholic school, homeschool or Catholic school, and then we went Catholic school this whole time, and then, like you said, we were like, well, we tried homeschool. When the world shut down, we were like, we suck at this. We're not doing this, right? But then, like, it became so obvious too, to where like it went from a guilt thing. Like the reason we didn't make the decision when it was just money is because it felt like a guilt thing and it felt wrong. And then all these other things kept happening to the point where, like, for us right now, there's just more opportunities at the public school. Like they have a like honors classes. That's just something like at a small Catholic school that just doesn't have, right? So this Catholic school has its positives. They're in mass. They get to experience retreats. They get to pray. They get to do all these things, right? But like academically and then sports wise, there's just so many more opportunities this summer. Like in the school year, like this summer, my son already did their strength and conditioning program. When he went for one day, it's the hardest he's ever worked athletically. Like he was coming back, like he was dead after the first day. And
eating everything in the fridge.
Yeah,
he's like, I burned all the calories. Yeah.
No, here's what's crazy. Here's how I knew he worked hard. He worked out so hard. He realized that he had to have a small breakfast. Otherwise he would throw it up. I'd drop him off. He'd go to strength and conditioning for about 2.5 hours. He would come home and his body had worked so hard that he couldn't put any food in his body for like an hour to almost 2 hours when he got home because he was still just like recovering. So physically exhausted. And I'm like, he's working hard, right? And like he got into like the premier honors program. We're really excited. The other daughter that's offered honors program, she got into an honors program as well. And then the second grader, they don't have it yet. But like we're thrilled, dude. And not only are we not having to pay for school because of we didn't even know this when we said yes. So this was one of those things that like once we said yes, this was a huge confirmation that we made the right choice. It's like not only is school we don't have to pay for school every month. I am currently feeding my children at least 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. At least 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. That is, if I'm doing my math correct, 21 meals. Is that correct?
Per child.
21 meals per child. Correct. So 21 meals per child. Every day that they are at school, because of a grant, they get free breakfast and free lunch. So now every week per child, I only have to feed them dinner and then on the weekend, 5 meals in the evening, 3 meals each day on the weekend. So I'm going from 21 meals a week per kid to 6 plus 5, which is 11.
It's going to take you time to adjust the grocery shopping just because mentally. And so I fear that 2 months from now, you're going to take up the entire Zoom screen. Because you're going to be like, someone's got to eat this food. Because that's the other dad thing. Is like, I want to provide and I don't like waste. So I'm like eating my kids' leftovers and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's very funny. So that is a big decision. you have been walking with us behind the scenes. What are your thoughts on this whole transition time that we're in as a family?
So my daughter, by way of analogy, my daughter got invited by one of her close friends to go to a Baptist summer camp. And it was Monday through Friday, so there wasn't any missing mass or the non-negotiables were still there. And so we're like, okay, great. And one of the last conversations I had with my father before he passed away, he's like, "Are you worried about your daughter going to this Baptist camp that she might become Baptist?" And I said, "No, Dad, actually, they should be worried that she's going to make them all Catholic." And it'd be one at a time. She's very relational and different things like that. But I would say that I have seen some families utilize Catholic schooling as a crutch when they are not living out a dynamic Catholic faith. A strong domestic church allows you to send your kids anywhere, right? And there are some positives in regards to Catholic school, but there's also some positives in other areas. And I'm telling you, we need good Catholics in public schools. We need good Catholics in public schools. Your kids are good Catholics, and I'm excited for what God can do through them. Instead of a Catholic school is what God can do to them and through them. Because there's opportunities to minister at Catholic schools as well, all schools, but it's going to be real neat if they can see it. And I know you have a missionary heart as them going on mission to go ahead and share their faith, and not in a way that it's like, okay, at every football down, hey guys, come together, let's pray before we hike the ball. Just dynamically be who you are, who I raised you to be, son. And then when people ask why you are the way that you are, say all the good things I thank God for, all the bad things you can talk to my dad. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. But so if you see as an opportunity, like there's Catholic sports, right? There's a Catholic sports league in your area, but there's also competitive and higher level sports. And you're hoping that your kids might be able to play in those or are playing in those. And I think that's okay because you can bring Jesus wherever. Jesus does not say, "Oh, your kids are coming to public school. I'll see you at the end of the semester."
Right.
He's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
he's like, I've already been there. In fact, the desks are made out of trees that I grew for that purpose, for you to sit in and share my love in. And so I think it's a neat opportunity, but I think sometimes we see it as like a necessary evil to engage in society. And it's actually our calling to engage in society. And so your kids are having an opportunity to do that in this way. And I think it's great.
Yeah, I think like I'm looking back at it, me being a product of public schooling. It's like I had to learn how to live my faith in the real world more than my kids have thus far. Like they've been pretty shielded and protected, right? And like, we want them physically, mentally, spiritually protected, right? But at the same time, it's like at some point you do have to get sent out into the real world. And I'm actually kind of glad that like they're going to have to go into places where people don't think like them, believe like them, act like them, talk like them, and then they're going to have to come home and we're going to have to figure that out. Like I'm actually kind of looking forward to that.
That dialogue is important. Absolutely.
Yeah. But also too, it's going to have to change some of the things that I do. Like one of the things that you and I talked about a year ago-ish, something like that, was that like I did not feel any guilt at all about not sending my kids to youth group because they were in Catholic school, because we're so involved in the church. But like now I have to change that. Like I can't be a hypocrite. Like they do need to be more involved in their youth group. They need to be more involved in like some of the other youth programming kind of things, especially those two older ones, right?
Right.
It's just going to change kind of some of our life dynamic and our family dynamic, but we are really very excited. Tomorrow, as we record this, we're going to a walkthrough of my son's school. This Friday, before we leave for vacation, we're going on a walkthrough of my daughter's school. Unfortunately, we're missing one of them because we're going to be on vacation, but like we're looking forward to it. Like we're looking forward to them being in a larger spot with more different kinds of people, different opportunities, and like the timing. Like this was not really our decision, right? Like this was not something that we were ever mulling before this year, but it just so happens that our public school system here, they start at they have 7th and 8th grade, 5th and 6th grade. So God knew this was happening before I ever did, right? Before he made it plainly obvious to my wife and I. But my son is going to a new school where everybody in 7th grade is new at that school. My daughter is going to a school where everybody in 5th grade is new at that school. So it's not like they're walking into communities that have been built and they're the new kid at school. Everybody is the new kid at school. We could not have picked this year better. We just couldn't.
Praise God for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and I will say this year with the Catholic school experience you had was not a 5-star review. But your son did get into those advanced classes. And so
Right.
there is some gratitude that you can look back on and be like, you know what, that Catholic school experience set them up to be successful in this public school thing. And so I mean, it's a springboard, and there can be gratitude looking back as well as excitement looking forward. And there doesn't need to be any guilt, any shame, or any bitterness on either side of the conversation, because it really felt like it was God saying, I'm calling you into this decision.
Yeah, for sure. And like we still have love for the community. Like I'm still coaching there. My wife still works at the parish. Like we're still involved in the community, just in a different way than we have been for the last 10 years or so. So
Yeah.
okay, that's my updates and news, and now it's time for you to take my role on the podcast, which I'm heavily looking forward to.
So there's a thing on Reddit called AITA, and it stands for Am I the Jerk? And so I'm asking you, Taylor.
Yep, those letters make sense. Yep.
Yeah, 100%. I think it might have been translation, the original Latin or something like that. But am I the jerk? And so I'm going to give you a scenario, and then you're just going to pick it apart and play Taylor's advocate or whatever. So we get invited to this big community event, and they're doing some like front yard vacation Bible school stuff in our neighborhood. We love Christians living their faith out loud. Our kids get down there and they get to play basketball and things like that. And you know, we go ahead and say, okay, make sure you mention faith without works is dead, because that'll kind of shake the. And no, I'm just kidding. They had watermelon and they came back with you know, a Bible verse to memorize and things like that. It was great. But the finale was at this big community church, had bouncy houses, had face painting. It was their church's big event for the summer.
Faith painting.
Faith painting. Yes.
It's either the Protestant version of face painting or Mike Tyson trying to pronounce face painting.
That was eerie. And so we get there. It's outstanding. They're giving away like tickets to Kalahari, which is like a big water park and different things like that. So there's literally hundreds of people. There's 8 different bouncy houses. There's 20 different booths. They're selling food at cost. So you want a hamburger? It's $2. You want a hot dog? It's $1. A soda? $1. Bag of chips? 50 cents. Like it was like not parish festival prices where everything's like 5x what it normally is, because it wasn't a fundraiser. It was a community event. It was outstanding. And so we have gotten to the point to where we're eating some cotton candy and sitting there on this little picnic table area right in front of the 9 square in the air, which is a youth group game where you bounce a ball above your head and try and get people out, and you just kind of eliminate. Anyways, so there's a long line for everything. Like there's just a long line for everything. I waited 40 minutes to jump in a bouncy house and hit my daughter with a gigantic oversized inflated Q-tip to knock her down. It was a gas, but there's long lines. And so my kids go jump in line for 9 square in the air, and they're in line for about 3, maybe 4 minutes. And this dude gets out, and his brother's ahead of like almost the front of the line. And it's like, hey, Matthias, can I jump in line with you? And he's like, sure, come on in. And so I say, hey, Matthias, my kids have been waiting for 5 minutes. Can my kids jump ahead of you since they've been waiting longer? And then the kid looks and he walks to the back of the line. Great. It's been settled. It's been done. And then he moves up again and says, hey, Matthias, I'm going to join you. It's still the same line. Just 4 more minutes have gone past and the line has moved up. And now Matthias is almost next in line. And so I walk up and I say, hey, Matthias, hey, whoever you are, we're not going to cut in line, as there have been other people that have been waiting longer. And the kid goes, no, it's going to be okay. I said, it's only okay if you let all these other people go first. And he joins you at the back of the line. And then he looks at his brother, and his brother's like, okay. And they move to the back of the line. And then I go back down and I sit down with my wife and I continue to watch. I have this sense of justice that sometimes turns me into a jerk, right? And my wife is like, you didn't have to do that. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a kid cutting in line. But that kid could have gotten out again and back in line in front of my kids again and again and again. And so I'm sitting there frustrated. And even my kids came over and they're like, Dad, that was so embarrassing. Oh my gosh, that was so cringe. I don't want to be seen with you or whatever. Why'd you have to do that? I was like, because it was unjust. And I had to say something. This boy's parents are sitting at the picnic bench like 10 feet away. They saw the whole thing and they didn't say anything. either when their son was cutting or when I confronted their son. But my wife and my daughter were both like, Dad, you shouldn't have done that. Am I the jerk for doing that? What would Taylor have done? Tell me.
Okay, I have one question that will tell me if you were the jerk or not. Did you say it with the inflection that you said it on this show? Everything that you said to Matthias and his brother, did you say it with the same inflection that you said here?
The first time I said, Matthias, if you're just letting people cut in line, I said cut in line, then my kids would like to cut in line as well. They've been waiting much longer. Very playful. The second time I went up directly to them and I was like, hey, listen, guys, we're not going to do this. It doesn't make sense at a Christian event to cut in line. So you guys can get back or you can let everyone else cut in front of you. So the second time I was more serious. The first time I was very playful. Hey, Matthias, can I cut in line? And I was like, hey, Matthias. I used kind of that same inflection, which could have been seen as mockery or it could have been seen as playful. Take it as you will.
No, you're right and everyone else is wrong. You're right and everyone else is wrong. And yesterday, I was at the movies with my kids and we were at a kids movie and there was a scenario where there were kids all in front of us. There was a baby crying, making noise. Nothing you can do with a baby, right? Other than at some point the parents should take them out. Pretty similar to church, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If your baby's
30 to 60 seconds, and
right.
then that's it's time.
Right.
Yep.
But I started thinking, am I the jerk yesterday in the movie theater before I said anything? Because the most common thing is like where I am constantly on is I'm constantly on planes and people are like, you can't yell about a crying baby on a plane. And I fully agree on a plane because I can escape it. And the purpose of a plane isn't for me to hear something. The purpose
Here's 2
of the
parachutes.
Plane, yeah.
Take them outside.
Either you or me are jumping out.
Yeah.
So the purpose of the plane is for me to get to a destination. I can put AirPods in and be fine, right? The purpose of a movie is for me to watch and hear the movie. So if you are doing something where you are making me not able to hear the movie, which was the case yesterday, I wanted to say something 2 minutes into the movie. It took me about 25. And then because I think at the beginning I would have been like, shut up or quiet. And about 25 minutes in, I was like, quiet, please, loud enough where everybody in the theater could hear. Because there were multiple adults in the theater and multiple children not making noise. And there was one family that was being incredibly loud and the parents weren't doing anything about it. And then after I did that, the baby still made noise. The other kid either did not, or whenever that other kid did, then the parents and older siblings of that family would shush that kid. And that kid learned, this is a place where I need to be quiet, right?
No, they learned how to avoid societal uncomfortability.
Correct, right?
But the end was still the same. Yes.
But like it was much more enjoyable for myself. So I think if I would have,
and literally everyone else in the theater,
literally everybody else there, like we were sitting with like me, my kids who have me as a parent, so they know when to shut up in public, or they learned really, really quickly. And like I'm sitting with my sister and her husband, but we're also sitting like with another set of adults that are just there because they like it was a cute movie, like it's a kids movie, right? It's an animated movie. It's a cute movie. Like I enjoyed it as an adult, and so I think going back to your situation, dude, like no, like. It wasn't just your kids getting cut in front of. It was every kid in that line getting cut in front of. And like, I totally have this justice thing. I will give you one more where you asked me how I acted. This is how I act at track meets, specifically with lines. I am the long and triple jump coach, and my kids will be in line, and they are these holy and pristine little Catholic kids. And so they are letting everyone cut in line in front of them. And I will yell at them from far away and I will say, so-and-so, get on the track. So-and-so, get on the track. And I'm yelling at my kids, but everybody else hears me yelling. And then I will tell them, I was like, at some point you can't just let one kid get 8 run-throughs when you've only done 1.
Right.
Get on the track. Don't let them get in front of you. Like, stand up for yourself. There's this sense of justice, right? And like, I have thought that a lot when with track, I'm dealing with other people's kids. Now, for this scenario, I will treat the kids on my team as my kids and the team,
sure.
the kids on other teams as other kids. But that's the similar situation you were in. You had your kids and there are other kids, but the other kids were getting screwed too. And like the person who is doing the jerk thing needs to know that is not allowed in society. right?
Accountability is healthy for society, right?
Right.
And so my daughter and my wife were like, it's not that big of a deal. You made it too big of a deal. And I said, it's not that big of a deal. I said, go cut in line and go play, be in the next round of Nice Square in the Air. They're like, no, I'm not going to do it. Why? Go do it. Show me that it's not that big of a deal and go cut the line right now. I told them that and they weren't willing to do it. And I was like, do you see? Do you see? Now, maybe the way I handled it is embarrassing. Sometimes calling people out is uncomfortable and we have to be able to do it in charity. But dag nabbit, I was telling my daughters the other day, I was asked a question at a marriage conference I was speaking at this last weekend. We went out to dinner with some of the speakers and they're like, how do we get women to reclaim their dignity? I said 2 things. 1, reclaim what it means to dress dignified. And number 2, slap men when they use curse words or swear words around you.
I love that I know that there were other women at that table and you raised your hand and started speaking first before you let them talk.
Let me mansplain. No, me and the only other male in this group. So the people who coordinated the conference, there was 1 male involved. The people who spoke at the conference, there was 1 female involved. And that was my wife, right? And so it's very funny. But nevertheless, we were talking about our sons and reclaiming masculinity, and they're like, what do you, and they asked me directly in my defense, what do you recommend for reclaiming femininity? And I was like, bring back the slap and dress with dignity. And so, but that's instant accountability. If guys got slapped every time they let the F word or the S word slip out of their mouth in a public forum, if they got slapped, they would stop saying that. Now, we would still have campouts and stuff like that where we're smoking cigars and dropping F-bombs. But in the public area, ladies are like, you don't speak like that when a lady's around. Whack. Anyways.
Well, that's what's really funny. I've already brought up track. That my boys know that is one of my big rules. Y'all can say whatever, not whatever you want, but I'll let things slide when it's just us. When it's just us, if you say something in front of the girls, you are running extra. You're bear calling. You're like done. It's over. Like because that's just the Southern gentleman I was raised to be a gentleman in public, and who I am when it's just guys.
Well, I feel seen, known, and heard, but some of you might still be on Kendra's side, my wife's side, and be like, Chris, that was an overreaction. So comment or message or whatever you need to do, because I want to know, because there was definitely a divide in our house, and it was about 3 kids didn't care, and then half and half after that. One of my daughters was like, heck yeah, justice. And 2 of my kids were like, embarrassing, so it wasn't worth it. Anyway, so that's one scenario. I have a much more interesting scenario that I want to run by you. And
sure. Let me say one last thing on this other one. So like for the people there might be some people in the middle. Like I might not have said something the first time they cut, but I most definitely 100% would have the second time. 100%. Like definitely would have. So I know there are some people listening that would not say anything at all, but I'm like, I know that I would after, like if it's a little kid that I don't know, maybe not the first time, but like similar to like the movies yesterday. The first time a kid talks, I'm not shut up like at a kid's movie. Then I'm the jerk, right? But like, dude, it's been 25 minutes and you haven't shut up in 25 minutes. Like at some point you got to meet in the middle of societal norms.
I have such a high threshold for conflict that it didn't bother me at all. My kids were embarrassed. I wasn't embarrassed a bit.
It's your job to embarrass your kids. Like that's your role as a father. You're doing great, man.
But confrontation, I know, comes hard for some people, and I think that's where it's like I have such a high threshold of conflict. We would win so hard. We would win so hard. All of the people that are conflict averse, we could take them out so easily.
If you are a woman listening to this and you disagree with me, feel free to slap me, and then we'll all be better for it.
Just let him eat his kids' breakfast and lunch for the fall semester first.
So some extra padding on the cheeks.
Exactly. Good. Awesome. Okay, so here's the second scenario. I was giving a presentation, and in the midst of the presentation, it's time to break for a little bit of prayer time or whatever. And I'm just going through my day, and there's going to be some biology that gets explained here. So either buckle up or get ready. But I went to the restroom, and as an adult male, we can stand when we go to the restroom. And
well, anyone can.
both would result in the same effect. And so oftentimes there's a little thing called a pee drip, and I hate to bring this up on your show because I know it's a sensitive topic, but sometimes there's a pee drip that happens afterwards. And I did not anticipate this reality because I was in a bit of a hurry. And I think there was just my urethra was not participating with me. And all of a sudden I go to wash my hands and there is a line from the seam of my pants, the inside seam of my pants, down to about my knee. Just let me just say it was a pee drip or something like that. So basically I, on some level, just peed my pants and now I have to go back and lead the rest of the event. I'll tell you what I did to be able to accommodate after you tell me what you would do. Now you're in this situation and there's a clear line of water. Yeah.
Sure. So I've been in a similar situation for a different reason. I'm not a man of a certain age yet, so I don't have quite that issue. You're about 10 years ahead of me.
But thank you for blaming my age. I just want to acknowledge to all the older listeners out there, like the men should maybe feel a little bit seen right now because it's like, what the heck just happened? Yeah. So thank you. Yes.
I have had it where some pee has gotten on my shorts. Maybe because I'm going to the bathroom and then I sneezed and it just made a mess because things happen while I was doing a public thing, right? So what I did in the bathroom was I blamed it on the sink and I actually added more water to make it not look like pee. And and the good thing for me, the Lord loves me, despite all the evidence we've shared thus far today. But that sink was a big blaster sink. So this had happened to multiple people. And so I blasted the sink, let it kind of go over my pants, and then I dabbed it. And then I just addressed it when I was up there. I was like, the sink got me. And then we moved on. I'm a G is how I handle things.
Good. Yeah.
The other thing that I do, I've had one other scenario. I've had one where I treated it like a G. The other one where I came prepared. So this other one was on a retreat, so I had the benefit of having extra clothes there. I just went and changed because I'm the kind of person currently sweating through this shirt. I have backup shirts every time I go on retreat. I have at least 3 shirts per event, and then I often bring. What I do is, typically I'll wear comfortable shorts for the full day. And then when it comes time for mass adoration, then I put on nicer pants and a polo because I want to be respectful of the Lord, right? So I just have backups all the time because I'm smart and I have foreplanned things.
Good. Well, I did consider the just dump water on myself situation and kind of camouflage it in there. I thought that was an option. Another option would be I could just go home. I could just get in my car. I would have to come back for my laptop and some of my supplies later, but I could just leave. I could leave right now.
Wait, you were done? My assumption is that you had to go give a talk immediately after this. That was my assumption.
I had 10 minutes before they regrouped. So I could have just said, well, I'm just leaving. The embarrassment outweighs the speaker fee that I'm receiving.
No. That's not an option. You can't do that. That's no, you cannot do that.
I agree, but I'm looking down at myself and I'm like, what do I do? For a moment I was like, just run away.
Lying is so much easier than ghosting someone. You cannot do that.
I agree. So that was not the option that I chose. And with the 10 minutes remaining, I said, let's see if we can figure this out. So I jumped into the stall and I began using all the 1-ply toilet paper. It came in that gigantic roll or whatever. So I used a third of a roll and I'm just trying to do that. And then I realized, you know what? Heat would help move this along as well. So I'm rubbing my pants vigorously against my legs to be able to get it to dissipate a little bit.
I really hope nobody walked into the bathroom doing this. So this is how Catholic speakers get fired.
Yeah. And then I just waited. And I waited until I received a text message that said, "We're all gathered. Are you here?" And I was on my way. And then I went out there, and because it was on my inseam, I walked like my legs were glued together. I shuffled like a penguin. I just kind of took tiny steps and basically kept my knees attached in hopes that no one would see the line of water down my leg. And to their credit, or to the fruit of my efforts, no one said anything, and I got good reviews. So it wasn't hey, really good talk, but you peed yourself. You know what I mean? It was like, no, that was great. Thank you for coming out. We appreciate you. That type of thing. So,
Well, yeah,
so
no one's going to assume that a 40 plus year old man peed himself before he gave a talk, like doing something professional. That's not going to be the assumption. So even if somebody did see it, they're like, oh, I must be wrong. And that's right. If you walk out there with confidence, the other option is, was there not a podium?
there was,
You could have 3 minutes in after you freaked out, right? Because that's a freak out situation. You have 10 minutes, 3 minutes in, you're freaking out. You could have texted and be like, hey, I have a lot of notes for this next talk. Can we get a podium up on the stage?
and
Solved.
I could have just
Done.
I could have lived behind the podium. That didn't cross my mind.
I'm smart. So I once gave a talk where I hadn't peed myself, but I had ripped my pants in the crotchal area, and I asked for a podium, and I stood behind the podium. I'm the kind of person who typically likes walking in front of people, and then when I get serious, I sit on the stage. Two things I definitely couldn't do with a hole in my crotch. So I became a professor and boring and stood behind the podium for the entire talk, and it was perfectly fine, and nobody saw my underwear.
That wasn't even on my radar because that's not my speaking style. You know what I mean? I wasn't giving a lecture.
Neither is being urine boy, and you have to figure things out and maybe change before you become something you don't want to become. I'd rather be a podium speaker than urine boy. That's where I'm at.
I'm on board with that reality. And this is why your wisdom is sage advice. So my point, I guess, is to kind of drop the veil. Like, God will deliver humility at the worst times, which is probably the best time to deliver humility. And not that there was ego going in or anything like that, but I was moving my day along like it was my day, and God's like, you're not in control of everything. And I'm like, not even my own bladder. What is going on? And he still carried me through. I'm like, because I was talking to Jesus while I was in that stall trying to figure things out, and he came through. So there you go.
Were you saying some of those words to him that you don't want men to say around women?
No, I did handle myself with grace. I was like, okay, Chris, like my inner dialogue. Okay, Chris, here we are. What are we going to do about it? Like, let's get forward thinking, because my first 30 seconds was like, oh no, why? I was mad at my member. I was like, what have you done? But then I moved on. So there you go.
You're such a nerd. You went so much for friction causes heat, where I'm just like, just give me a podium, man. It'll just be wet. It'll be fine. It'll be all right.
I'm Bill Nye my way out of the situation.
Let's dim the lights. Let's make it a sensual moment. It'll all be fine. I can change. I can make anything happen, man.
Start from the back. Everybody close your eyes. I'll tell you when to open your eyes. Yeah. Now imagine, and you hear this, is scooting the podium into position.
Right. Yeah, when you texted me that there was a version of the story, and you didn't tell me much. So my assumption was that this happened during your talk. That was my assumption. So how I would have gotten out of that, I've thought about those things. And like, I didn't even have to ruminate about them. These two things came to me immediately. One of two things would be happening. All right, whatever point you just finished making, marriage, blah, blah, blah. Now, turn to the person next to you and talk about, and I ask a question about what I was just talking about. Or we're going to take a few, I just feel like the Lord really wants us to respond to him in this moment. We're going to take 2 minutes. We're going to respond to him. I'd walk off the stage and we fix the situation, and then I'd come back and it would be fine. So, dude, yeah, you had way too much time for this to still be an issue. I am totally with you that you are not the jerk with your kids, but you are far more professional than this for this to still be happening to you. We've all been through this. We've all done something worse and better in this situation.
Fair enough. Well, you are the pro, man, and I appreciate it. And next time, while it's happening, I'll just give you a call right then and there and be like, hey, Coach Taylor, I'm going to go take a lap afterwards, but right now I need your help right now.
You can use me. Put me on speakerphone. Put your phone next to the mic. I'll take over the talk for 3 to 4 minutes while you go to the restroom, figure yourself out, and then we'll transition back when I hear your footsteps chomping. It'll be fun.
I love it. Taylor, not all heroes wear capes.
Hey, it's so funny you say that. I just rewatched The Dark Knight yesterday with my son, and it was a transcendental experience, especially watching it as a husband and father. But you're right. Like I'm not the hero that you needed, but I'm the hero that you deserve.
Amen.
All right. Well, that's our show. You're not a jerk, but you're also not a fast-thinking professional like I thought you were this entire time. You burst that bubble. I actually thought you were perfectly nice in your scenario where you thought you were a jerk, but you did lose a little bit of my respect by becoming urine boy. But we also know that I'm currently going through my own thing, so I think this whole episode is a wash for both of us.
Good. Yeah, and that is something that I had to do to those pants afterwards. Yeah, there you go.
Very good. Well, I'm Dylan Schroll. I'll be back next week. He's Chris Bartlett with a brand new nickname, and he'll be back in a month. See ya! Thanks for listening to today's show. I hope that you enjoyed it. We certainly did. If you did, make sure you hit subscribe wherever you are watching or listening. I'll be back soon. Love you.